Thank you, Diederik, for this introduction. Also from my side, welcome to everybody in the room listening remote. And Koen, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. Welcome from my side as well.
Thank you.
Koen, why don't you start by explaining your role within the Ahold Delhaize organization?
So within Ahold Delhaize group, we have a multitude of a lot of nice local brands, and we serve roughly 54 million customers a week, spread over Europe, Indonesia, and US. Now, I'm part of the BEXI region, so that's the Belgium, Central and Southeast Europe environment, and we serve central IT or provide central IT services to Belgium, Greece, Romania, Serbia, and Czechia. Those are the central services, but also the countries have local services as well and local IT as well. And there we play more a guidance or an advisory role.
Okay. And your position within Ahold Delhaize?
Me specific, I am a regional IT manager within the BEXI region. And I'm responsible for what we call the enterprise systems and data services, which at its core is all the enterprise-grade systems running on P-Series, AX, DB2, and all those nice on-premise technologies. Next to that, I've taken up the challenge to, as everyone needs to evolve, and I've always had a very specific interest in business cases, the finance behind IT, and via that way I rolled into FinOps.
Okay, so you explained that we're not talking about Delhaize Belgium. It's a much bigger organization. Thank you for that. We're looking at BEXI, so Southeast Europe. Can you explain us what the IT landscape looks like within that region? And more specifically, the cloud, how that story comes into play.
Yeah, as I tried to picture out, we have the central services, which are what we call big systems, where we talk about huge consolidated functionalities for all countries. But then we also have local applications. For example, tax regulations per country, they require separate systems for regulation reasons. So that means we have a quite diverse landscape of type of applications. And we also see in the market that those applications, from a pure business or function side, they evolve at a different pace. This then, again, brings additional complexity that we're in a full hybrid mode. Hybrid mode, meaning that we, from an IT regional service, are hosting services in the cloud, but also locally, our countries have the opportunity to go into cloud solutions. Now, it's not only just a cloud solution, we have the different flavors behind it on the different platforms. So we can talk about SaaS solution hosted on an Oracle platform, for example, for Greece. But we can also talk about an IaaS solution hosted in the Azure cloud, or even a PaaS solution on the Google platform. So we're quite diverse in terms of the usage in the cloud. And we also see that this is more and more increasing as we speak. We have more and more deployments and usage in the cloud as we speak.
Okay, so indeed a very diverse landscape between what I would call maybe more legacy, mission-critical IT. I mean, it's super important probably that trucks leave in the morning to bring supplies to the store. You don't want to maybe put those systems in the cloud immediately, but Delhaize sounds like they're moving towards the cloud in a big way. Okay, so a diverse landscape, and then FinOps. You're managing enterprise systems, and then FinOps came along. How did this become a priority at Delhaize?
Well, the Ahold Delhaize group is a group that is evolving, like all companies. Like just explained, we're looking more and more, or at least our business is also looking more and more at SaaS, PaaS, and the IaaS solutions. But next to that, we as IT also prepared ourselves to be much more ready to support and onboard our business to the cloud. And that's what we call the cloud foundation environment. We set up a ground of controls, best practices, and services to onboard applications on the cloud. Now, that being said, it is a journey that started already 4 to 5 years ago. And we learned also some things about financial elements. How we need to look at the financial side of things of FinOps. It became clear that the cloud does not behave like on-premise. All those things together, they ended up that we needed to really take the time and invest into the functionalities of FinOps. And also, last but not least, the spike that Diederik showed, we encountered that as well. And me personally as well, I have done it with my team to give them a kind of opportunity to fail and fail fast in the cloud, but also deploy in the cloud, learn. And then, yes, my director came back to me, well, I have an invoice for you. And there again, we also opened that conversation, but okay, we are now aware about the risk. And it is indeed the engineers that have the power to spend the money without seeing the invoice immediately. Hence the attraction and attention that we had to build out a FinOps story.
Okay, so everybody within the company, from executive level to bottom up, understood that there is a need to get this cloud financial management thing under control.
Yes, correct.
Okay. You explained that you're managing enterprise systems, SAP, DB2, Oracle. Cloud, FinOps is something new. Why did it click with you on a personal level to invest in this story?
Well, first of all, within my current role, I was always faced and challenged with big investments. Hence, I was always involved in the study work from the infra point of view to build up the business cases and investment proposals for our business to build out new applications and solutions. Now, when first touching the cloud, I also saw that the bigger picture behind it is that we go from a CapEx, OpEx model into an OpEx model, and I was triggered about that. I've also had a severe interest in everything which is sourcing and procurement. Like Diederik said, they come also at the table. And then last but not least, we also have the legal aspects behind it, because also there, again, legal is losing a part of its grip. An engineer, any one of our business, from our self-service platform that we're building with the Cloud Foundation, is able to build systems in the cloud and put data on there. Now, to come back, all these nice things together, if you look at the full FinOps capabilities, they all tie together. Mm-hmm. And hence my interest in driving this forward, making sure that we have all the people ranging from executive level, sourcing, legal, finance on board, understand the change that we're in front of, going from a CapEx investment model into an OpEx consumption model. And we'll talk later about it a bit more, but it is a very nice challenge to have everyone understanding the impact in the company.
Yes. And I noticed you finding your way within Delhaize very well. And I think that's something important, because you're collaborating with all these departments. So yeah, your experience within the company definitely helps you, I believe, with building those bridges.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. That's it for this interview part. Let's open the discussion or the questions to the room and to the audience at home. And let's see if people are sparked, are interested, and have questions on this exciting topic. Do we have questions here in the room or remote?
I have a question. At what point of time does FinOps become interesting? Thresholds.
Mm-hmm. So I was told I need to repeat the question for the people in the live stream. So the question is, at what point in time does FinOps become important, critical? What is the threshold? Koen, do you want to take that question?
It's a very good question. It's a very tricky question as well. First of all, I think you need to assess your maturity of the cloud and the cloud onboarding by the business. How fast are they starting to onboard on there? Secondly, then you need to look at the budget quantity. So how much do you roughly think that you're spending in the cloud? And I think as of the moment that you talk about your yearly budget roughly being 10% spent in the cloud, start thinking about FinOps. At least think about cloud cost management, but be already thinking ahead to the FinOps. It goes hard, it goes fast. If you don't think ahead, business will catch up with you and those spikes will no longer decrease as on that nice chart that Diederik showed, but it will be an exponential consumption model.
Okay, any other questions in the room or online? For the people online, just type in your question in the chat window. I'm not just checking my emails, but I'm actually in contact with the people in the back telling me if questions are coming in. So we're trying to work in the hybrid world. Yes.
Yeah, well, we have lots of customers that we help with developing this cloud center of excellence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the customers there. You mentioned that you need a program manager
Mm-hmm.
for a FinOps program. Can it be the same person? I mean, can you combine both cloud center of excellence and developing a FinOps practice, or do you really need somebody with a completely different focus? Because I can imagine that FinOps and building cloud center of excellence might sometimes be conflicting.
So let me take a first shot and then I will hand it to you, Sam. From a program management point of view, you can perfectly combine it. From a subject matter point of view, you can't. The FinOps practitioner role is a very specific role. Compare it in a technical world. If you suddenly want to do an IoT project, you don't want to have a generalist cloud architect doing that, but you want somebody with IoT knowledge specifically and cloud knowledge. So from a FinOps practitioner point of view, a FinOps practitioner obviously knows the basics about the cloud, even more than the basics, but then has a specialty in this FinOps. From a program management point of view, it's perfect to combine it, at least in the beginning. What we then see, which is a discussion I'm having with some of the customers, what is the scale, how fast does that grow, and then at some point, yeah, you need to add more resources to it, obviously. But if you have a cloud center of excellence already set up, like some of our customers have, it's the perfect place to embed it in there, and it fits in all of the processes that you execute from a governance point of view in your cloud center of excellence. Sam, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, two things that was very complete already, but from my point of view, being that subject matter expert, you can compare it to security. Security in the cloud is also very important. You also have subject matter experts on security, and so you can compare it to FinOps in that way. Also, from my point of view, if a customer has indeed a cloud center of excellence or a cloud centralized team, that makes the FinOps life a lot easier because you have hooks to attach your program to. If FinOps is the only thing that's happening, it will be harder. You have to invent the wheel many times. So, yeah.
Yes.
FinOps practitioner, can you compare it in legacy old world with someone like a software licensing expert that has some knowledge about the products and let's say, the non-technical aspects, but as well knowledge about the technology? So it's more like you compare it with security.
So I will let you think about it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
My take at it is it's a very good question, Lynn. I think can you compare it? Yes, you can, but it goes way beyond licensing knowledge. What we see, for instance, at Delhaize is the licensing part is one of the work streams in the bigger picture, and onboarding the licensing people in FinOps. So I'm really consciously calling it out like that, onboarding the licensing people in FinOps is one of the topics. But a FinOps practitioner is a different animal. You need to understand the cloud quite well. You need to have a certain cloud architecture knowledge because these things are so closely connected with each other. You cannot just take what we all knew, the old school licensing person, and convert it. That's not going to work. Koen?
Let me answer that, but I don't want to put your question aside, but we'll go much more deeper into it in the second part of our session. Like Diederik said, it's a different profile. It's a complete new skill set. And in the literature, you can find three main profiles. You have the FinOps lead, you have an advisor, and you have a practitioner. They all have their proper skill set, but in brief, today they don't exist. I'm going to be realistic about it. The team, which I'm very proud of, that is currently busy with the implementation, they don't have that skill set as depicted in the literature. It's new, it's brave, I often compare it, and now Sam is not going to be my best friend. Your IT system engineers, they need to become IT accountants. They need to know what are the components within the cloud, what is the cost behind each component, how does this bring everything together into an application or function. And then your last aspect is then the advisory role, is towards your business or product owner making the statement, this is the cost of your function, and then it's up to the practitioner to challenge the business. This is your functionality, this is the cost. Is it really worth the money? But let's take that further and deeper in the next part.
Yeah.
Or during the coffee break.
Yeah, but good question. It's an interesting profile.
So we do have a question from the online audience. First of all, my apologies to the online people. I need to repeat the question, which I forgot to do. I'm learning. We will get there. So the question is, and Koen, I will send it to you. How do you convince to invest? The question is literally the sponsoring for the needed resources, as long as you didn't get that big spike. So basically, when you are before that famous event, how do you do that? What's your view on that?
By working with the curiosity of the human being. If you're able to tell your boss, I'm able to show you in detail the cost of a certain function or application on a weekly basis, monthly basis, yearly basis, and you're able to go and have a discussion with C-level executives or product owners, people that really work with the function day to day, then you have their interest. Then they will be looking at, oh, but you're not just going to work with the costs and you're going to do a showback. No, that's not FinOps. The interest and the fun thing behind FinOps is, I will be able to show you in detail the cost of a function, and then you will be able to evaluate, is it still worth the money? And then you open the debate, do we need to look for another solution, or do we stay with the current solution? I hope that answered the question.
Well, I will not ask it online. That would be technically a bit too challenging. Okay, any last question from the room or from the online audience? Let's stop for a break now.